mercy, every scar redefining it.
Pull up a chair. Just watch that loose board on the step right there.
Yeah, that one's been meaning to get fixed for a good long while now.
It sure has. There's plenty of room, though. Sit wherever you like. You know, usually when we switch on these mics for a deep dive, we're running at about 100 miles an hour.
Oh, at least.
Right. We've got stacks of articles. We've got data points, conflicting reports. We're usually trying to figure out the entire world in 20 minutes, trying to make you, the listener, smarter, faster.
But tonight
feels different. Heavy, almost.
Yeah.
But in a good way, like a weighted blanket on a cold night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The sun's just about gone down. The crickets are tuning up out there. And honestly, it just didn't feel right to bring a spreadsheet out to the porch. So we aren't doing that. No white papers today.
No white papers, no tech reviews, no political scandals. We are just looking at a song.
And not just any song either. We're spending this deep dive on a track called Rewritten Roads.
By Ragged River Revival.
Ragged River Revival. I mean, even the name sounds like it's got dirt under its fingernails.
It really does. It sounds earned.
It is. I've been sitting with these lyrics all afternoon, just reading them over and over on the porch, letting them soak in. This isn't polished pop music.
Not even close. It sounds like gravel. It sounds like old wood. It sounds like something you listen to after the party is over and everyone else is packed up and gone home.
Yeah.
But look, here's why I wanted to bring this to you today, even though it's a big departure for us. We usually talk about optimizing or productivity, but there is a totally different kind of data.
The humankind.
Right. The data of human experience, the data of regret.
And regret is a universal data set, unfortunately. It's the one database every single one of us contributes to.
We sure do. And this song hits on a central tension that I think every person listening to us right now has felt at maybe 3 in the morning.
Oh, that 3 a.m. feeling.
It's the desire to hit undo, to find the delete button on the last 10 years of your life and just wipe the hard drive clean.
That is the natural human instinct. We all want to be the editors of our own history. We want to redact the files, black out the names, burn the old tapes. But this song,
it pushes back on that.
It proposes a completely radical alternative. It argues that there is a massive fundamental difference between erasure and redemption.
Erasure versus redemption. Let's unpack that right here. Because if I'm honest with you, I usually prefer erasure.
Sure, it's easier.
It is. Just wipe the slate clean. If I make a mess, I want it gone. Nobody needs to see it. But you're saying this song argues that's the wrong approach.
I'm saying erasure is a fantasy. It just doesn't exist. Erasure pretends the past didn't happen, and that's a lie. Redemption takes what happened, the ugly stuff, the broken stuff, and it changes the ending.
Which is messier.
Much messier.
Yeah.
But a whole lot more powerful.
So let's get into the text then. Let's see how these guys build this argument. The song opens right in the thick of it. The singer says, "I thought my story was already finished. Pages torn I couldn't mend."
Pages torn I couldn't mend. Just pause there for a second. Have you ever actually tried to tape a torn page back together?
Oh, yeah. You get the clear tape, you try to line up the words so you can still read the letters across the rip.
But you can always see the tear. You can always feel that ridge where the paper broke. You cannot untear it. And I think that's where the despair in this first verse comes from.
It's the permanence of it.
Exactly. He thinks because the page is torn, the book is ruined. He thinks his story is over just because the paper got damaged.
And then he drops this line, which I think is just brilliant writing. He says, "I carried years like they were sentences, punishment I couldn't outrun."
Carried years like they were sentences.
Man, that is a heavy image.
It's legal language, right? But it's weird because usually you serve a sentence, you sit in a cell and you wait for it to be over. You wait for the warden to tell you you're free. He doesn't say he served it. He says he's carrying it.
Because he's mobile.
Yeah.
He's walking around out in the world.
Yeah.
He might have a job, a family, a whole new life. But he's carrying the prison on his back? A self-imposed incarceration.
That's it. The judge banged the gavel years ago. Maybe the folks he hurt have even forgiven him. Maybe the world has completely moved on. But he hasn't. He is both the warden and the prisoner.
That is just exhausting. Just picturing that. Carrying a cage around with you everywhere you step.
It'll wear you down to the bone. And notice the next part of that line. Punishment I couldn't outrun.
See, that resonates with me. Because our instinct when we mess up is to run.
Flight response.
Always. We move to a new city, we change careers, we get a new truck. We think, well, if I just go fast enough, if I get far enough away from the scene of the crime, the past can't catch me.
But If you have to carry the sentence with you, you're just running laps in your own cell.
Wow.
You can't outrun what's strapped to your back. You can fly to the other side of the world, but when you open your suitcase, the sentence is right there folded up with your shirts.
So he's stuck. He's torn the page, he's carrying the prison. But then comes the turn in the music. And this is the insight I really want us to chew on today. He sings, but grace has a way of finding meaning in the damage I'd done.
Finding meaning in the damage.
That stops me right in my tracks. Because usually we think of grace as a repair crew.
Patching the drywall.
Right, patching the hole so it looks brand new, slapping a coat of paint on it so nobody knows there was ever a mistake. But finding meaning, that's something else entirely.
It sure is. It suggests that the damage itself becomes part of the architecture. Think of it less like fixing a wall and more like, well, like putting in a window where a wall used to be because it fell down anyway.
The break becomes an opening.
The break becomes an opening. The wreckage isn't just swept away into a dumpster. It's repurposed.
Repurposed. And that is a terrifying thought for folks who just want to hide their mistakes.
Oh, we want to hide the debris. We want to cover it with a tarp. But grace wants to build with it.
Which leads us right into the chorus. And I think this is the core thesis statement of the whole track. The lyrics go, turns out, mercy doesn't erase the miles, it redeems every step. And then that title line, these roads got rewritten, not forgotten, not denied.
Turns out, mercy doesn't erase the miles. If there's one thing I want you to hold on to tonight, if you're listening on your own porch or driving home from work, it's that. God doesn't use whiteout.
Whiteout. I haven't thought about that stuff in decades.
Yeah, that little bottle white paint you'd slap over a typo on a typewriter.
You blow on it to dry it real quick.
Exactly. And we love whiteout. Spiritually speaking, we are completely obsessed with it. We want to paint over the mistake so it looks like a pristine blank page. We want to look at people and say, that never happened. I was never that person. I never walked down that road.
Because if it never happened, we don't have to feel the shame. It's just cleaner.
Cleaner, yeah. But here is the problem with whiteout. If you erase the miles, you also erase the lessons you learned while you were walking them.
You erase the calluses on your feet.
You erase the strength you built. If you delete the journey, you completely delete the person you became along the way. The song says those roads are not forgotten, not denied.
That takes some real bravery, to not deny the wrong turns, to look at a map of your life and point right to the detour, point to the ditch and say, yeah, I went there.
It takes a man who knows he's forgiven to do that.
The chorus keeps going. He sings, every wrong turn met with mercy, every scar redefined.
Think about the actual geography of that line.
Yeah.
Every wrong turn met with mercy.
It implies God wasn't just tapping his foot, waiting at the destination.
Precisely. We tend to think, okay, I made a mess. Once I get my act together, once I get back on the highway and start driving the speed limit, then God will join me in the passenger seat.
Once I clean myself up.
Right. But this lyric says, mercy met him at the wrong turn, in the ditch, in the dead end. It suggests a God who is in the business of recalculating the route, not canceling the trip.
Recalculating, like an old GPS on your dashboard, make a U-turn when possible.
Only better. Because a GPS just finds the fastest way back to the main road. This song suggests something a lot deeper. Listen to this next line. He took the long way with my life and called it redemption.
The long way. You know, I've always been an efficiency guy. I like my shortcuts. If I can get there in 10 minutes instead of 20, I'm winning.
We all are.
So why does it always have to be the long way? Why couldn't the road just get rewritten to be a straight line from point A to point B?
Because we want the microwave miracle. We want character development in 30 seconds on high heat. We want to pop out the other side fully formed, wise, and patient.
But you can't microwave wisdom.
You sure can't. You can't microwave humility either.
So what is the value in the extra miles? Why the long way?
Because the long way gives you time to talk. It gives you time to listen. Look, if I just teleport you to the mountaintop, you haven't developed the lung capacity to breathe that thin air.
You'll pass out.
You pass out and fall right back down the mountain. The climb, the long, dusty, painful climb, is what gives you the lungs to survive the summit.
So the shortcut gets you to the destination, but the long way changes who you are by the time you actually arrive.
That's the takeaway right there. The destination isn't the point at all. The walking is the point. And if you skip the walking, you miss the redemption.
Which brings us right to the second verse.
Okay.
And honestly, this is where the song goes from a nice, warm sentiment to harsh reality for me. It really grounds the whole thing in the dirt.
Read that line for us.
He's saying, still got dust on these old boots, still got stories I don't share. And then he says, some days I walk it steady, some days I limp along.
Some days I limp along. Man, that hits home, doesn't it?
It really knocks the polish off the whole thing. I feel like, especially in certain religious circles or self-help seminars, we sell this idea of redemption that looks like a toothpaste commercial.
Big smiles, perfect hair.
Right. Everything is bright, shiny, perfect. Look at me, I'm fixed. I'm completely optimized.
But this fella, he's admitting he's not fixed. He's redeemed, yes, but he's not fixed in the way we usually mean it. He's still got dust on his boots. He's not levitating above the ground.
And he's limping.
Because real healing often leaves a limp. Just think about it physically. If you break a leg bad enough, you might walk again. You might even run marathons. But when a cold rain rolls in,
You feel it in the bone.
you feel it. You have a hitch in your step. You remember the break?
So is the limp a failure then? Does it mean he didn't do it right? Does it mean the redemption didn't fully take?
Not at all. The limp is proof of survival. It's an anchor.
An anchor.
Yeah, because if you walk perfectly, you might start thinking you don't need any help. You might start looking around thinking you did it all yourself. But if you limp, every single step is a reminder that you need support. You have to lean on something.
And leaning on grace is exactly where we're supposed to be.
It's a check on the ego. Keeps you honest. But he also mentions those stories I don't share. We all have those, don't we? The ones we keep locked down in the basement.
The ones where if folks knew that story, they might look at us a little differently at the grocery store.
And that is exactly where shame lives. Down in the dark. In the silence. But listen to how he answers that shame in the next lyric. He says, but shame don't get the final word over what he's done here.
Shame don't get the final word. That is just defiant.
It'd have to be defiant.
Yeah.
Because shame is loud. Shame is like a heckler in the back of the room. It likes to wake you up at 3 a.m. and remind you of that terrible thing you said 10 years ago.
It wants to narrate your whole life.
It wants to tell you that you are nothing more than the sum of your worst moments.
It wants to hold the pen. It wants to write the biography.
Right. But the song is standing up and saying, you can talk all you want, shame. You can scream until you're hoarse, but you don't get to finish the sentence. The final word belongs to the rewriting. The final word belongs to God.
Okay, so we've got the limp, we've got the defiance against shame, we've got the rewritten road. But practically speaking, how do you do this? How do you actually deal with the heavy past without letting it just crush you? I think the pre-chorus gives us the actual instruction manual.
I agree. It's my absolute favorite line in the song. He says, I don't pretend the past didn't happen. I just don't live there anymore.
I underlined that twice in my notebook. I just don't live there anymore.
It's the profound distinction between residency and memory.
Break that down for us a bit, because I think a lot of folks feel like if they even remember it, they are living in it.
Think about an old house you used to live in. Maybe a house where you had some really bad times. Maybe a childhood home where things were rough, money was tight, arguments all the time.
Sure.
You can drive by that house today. You can park across the street and look at the yard. You can acknowledge, yes, I was there. That was my address. I broke a window on that second floor. I cried in that bedroom.
You can see it clear as day.
You can see it, but you don't have a key to the front door anymore. You don't keep your clothes in the closet. You don't sleep there. You don't pay the electric bill. You are just a visitor to the memory, not a resident.
Man. But so many people are still paying rent on their past mistakes.
Every single day of their lives. They wake up and mentally travel right back to that old house and sit in the living room of their biggest regret. They brew a pot of coffee and just sit in the shame. They live there. They furnish the place.
And they wonder why they're miserable. They wonder why they can't seem to move forward.
Redemption means you pack up your boxes and you move out. You don't burn the house down. You don't pretend it doesn't exist, but you change your mailing address. You live here, right now, in the grace of the present.
That is incredibly freeing, just the mental image of walking up to the door and handing back the keys.
It allows you to finally have peace. You can look at an old photograph of who you used to be without emotionally moving back into the frame. And honestly, that changes how you look at other people too.
Which leads right into the bridge of the song. He sings, I'm not who I was, but I remember that man, so I don't judge the ones still walking where I once began.
I remember that man. That right there is the absolute key to humility.
You know, it circles all the way back to the long way we talked about earlier. If God had just zapped this singer and made him perfect instantly, if he had just been teleported to the finish line without the struggle.
It'd be insufferable.
Oh, totally. He'd be arrogant. He'd be that guy telling everyone else to just try harder. He'd look at folks struggling deep in the mud and say, oh, why don't you just stand up? It's easy. Look at me. My boots are clean.
It's the reformed smoker syndrome. The person who quits cold turkey and suddenly has zero patience for anyone who still smokes.
Exactly. The harshest critics you'll ever meet are usually the ones who conveniently forgot where they came from.
But because this singer walked the road, because he limped, he looks at the person stuck in the mud and says, I know that mud. I know how cold it is. I know exactly how hard the suction is when you try to pull your boot out of that clay.
So remembering the old man, remembering who you used to be, it isn't about punishing yourself. It's about keeping your heart soft toward others.
That's it. True redemption makes you softer, not harder.
Yeah.
You recognize the road they are on because you wore out your own boots on that exact same gravel. You don't judge the one still walking where you began because you know how incredibly hard that first mile really is.
It's empathy born out of scars.
Which is the only kind of empathy that holds up when the wind blows.
We're coming near the end of the song now. The sun's fully down out here. And the resolution he offers at the end, it isn't fireworks. It isn't a big brass marching band. It isn't a choir in white robes descending from the clouds.
No, it's something much, much quieter. He sings. He stayed and rewrote my story with a steady hand and patience. Not a shortcut, not a miracle, just mercy walking with me through it.
Not a shortcut, not a miracle. That is a surprising line for a gospel track, isn't it? Usually we're singing about the big miracles, the parting of the Red Sea, fire falling from heaven, instantaneous healing.
We all want the lightning bolt. We want the dramatic turnaround that we can package up and put in a movie. I was lost, and then bam, the sky opened up and everything was perfect.
But real life is rarely a movie.
Real life is a long, slow walk. And this song, it celebrates the steady hand, the patience, the kind of love that stays in the room when all the excitement fades away. The singer realizes that the rewriting of his road wasn't a single flashy event. It was a daily process. Just mercy walking with me through it.
It's the consistency that rewrites the road, not the intensity.
That's a good way to put it. A flash flood changes the landscape quickly, sure, but it's completely destructive. A river cuts a canyon over 1,000,000 years, and it leaves behind something beautiful. This song is talking about the river, the steady, daily presence of love that simply refuses to pack up and quit.
And then he leaves us with this final thought.
All right.
I'm still walking on rewritten roads because he walked them too.
That's the anchor for the whole thing. He's not walking alone. The road is rewritten because the author of the story actually came down and walked the pavement with him. He knows where all the potholes are.
You know, sitting out here listening to the crickets, just thinking about all this, it brings a certain kind of peace. We spend so much time sweating and worrying about the torn pages in our book. We worry that we've ruined the plot entirely.
We do. We think we've written ourselves into a tight corner that we can never get out of. We think we've completely ruined the protagonist.
But this song is a gentle reminder that we aren't holding the pen all by ourselves.
No, we aren't.
And I want to leave you, listening at home, with one last thing to chew on. Something we haven't touched on yet, but it's been rolling around in my head. We talked a lot about the grace we receive on these rewritten roads, but think about this. What if the person you hurt on that old road, the one you left behind in your messy chapters, what if they are the one who needs to see your rewritten story the most?
Oh, that'll preach right there.
Your limp might be the exact proof they need that folks can actually change, that roads can lead somewhere new.
Your scar becomes their map.
Exactly. So if there is anyone listening tonight who feels like their story is over or that they've gone way too far down a bad road to ever find their way back, just remember what we talked about on the porch today. The road doesn't have to be a race to be redeemed.
You don't have to forget where you've been. You just have to let the rest of it be rewritten.
You might limp a little bit.
You might have some heavy dust on your boots.
But you're still walking. And you're not walking alone.
That's the truth of it. I won't say I deserved it, but I'll say this much is true.
I'm still walking on rewritten roads.
It's a real good thing to chew on as the night sets in.
It is. Thank you for sitting with us on the porch for a while tonight.
Always a pleasure, friend.
Good evening, everyone.